The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaru Productions.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to half an episode.
Yeah, no. This is half decade of review.
So, Marcus wanted to do this, and we couldn't think of a reason to say no.
More videos.
Yeah, that's true. He wanted to split this decade in half because, in terms of Sentai, because the tone of 2010 to 2000. I'm ignoring this. 2010 to 2015 was very different from 2016 to 2020. I'm ignoring it.
Good.
So, we're going to start at the beginning of the decade and go to the half point. So we're going to start with Go Sager.
Yes.
And please, for the love of God, do not turn this into mini reviews.
No. I will say for Go Sager, it has an issue with its characters.
Yeah.
Specifically just mostly the heroes. They're not the best. A little bland. Even up until the end of the show.
Very cookie cutter, we must do good for the sake of doing good kind of characters.
Yeah. The thing that really ends with saving Go Sagers is, of course, Barajira. The dude is a great villain. He's very threatening. He comes across as straight up evil. He has a personal connection to the Go Sagers. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, you did great. You did a very good job coming up with this villain, using the Lucifer aspect of it to really work this into this character and show how evil that he could end up becoming. I love Barajira. I think it's a great villain. And he works specifically for this show because he brings in the character where the Go Sagers lack.
I think it was a good way to build off of Shinkenger.
Yeah.
And the way the villains had personal connections to the heroes in there. And I don't know if it was just because of the start of the decade or just, this is just how the story wound up coming out. But I feel like starting with your archetypical Sentai heroes of we're good guys. They're just like your standard good guys as far as Japanese storytelling goes. When you're talking about children's shows like this, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that because cookie cutters can make delicious cookies. So
he brings up a point. This has nothing to do with the show. I just love the picture that's on the wiki. When I'm looking at all it is the five of them in poses, and there's Gosei Knight to the right of them standing there, because even he knows he doesn't belong.
And he is an outlier.
One of these things is not like the other.
Because he
One
looks.
of these things is a robot.
He looks like he should be an extra, but he's a sixth.
He does look like he should be an extra. I never thought about that before.
Yeah, he
right.
really doesn't look like a six.
He should be an extra, but
he was
Toei,
honestly the weakest part of this show, in my opinion.
And he came in during the weakest part of the show.
That also didn't help.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all.
It's just like, Go Sager just like, alright, let's test the waters a little bit. Let's save our energy for the next year.
Yeah, where we make fan service the show.
Unintentionally, because things happen.
Yeah,
Let's talk about Gokaiger.
Yeah, well, that's a good transition into Gokaiger. From, I think, my understanding, they got a lot more requests of previous actors to appear on the show than expected.
Up to a certain point, because after the earthquake hit, while the show was still
Earthquake
airing...
and tsunami.
The earthquake and the tsunami. This is after the show had been airing for a while. That's when you had the influx of actors saying, we want to be a part of this, we want to help out any way we can.
I need a paycheck.
No, it was purely for altruistic reasons. So
I'm sure the money helped, but...
Yeah.
But for this case, we're going to say because of everything that happened around it.
Yeah.
They're just like, let's get all these people into this show.
But even,
people need something.
I think even without that, they still probably would have gotten a lot of them back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would have gotten as many, but...
Because they did
the actual...
Sorry, go ahead.
Here's what I think. I think without that, we still would have gotten some of the Sentai members back, but more than likely, we might have gotten supporting characters instead.
Yeah.
For some of them, not all of them.
And, they got somebody back from every show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, just a weird thing I noticed...
Even if it was just to stand in front of a green screen for a few seconds.
Yeah, which they did.
Which they could have recorded
for all I know. There wasn't enough episodes in the show to have a tribute episode for all 34 Sentais before it.
I disagree.
As much as they...
There were 50 episodes.
There were 50 episodes, but my argument is that if you spend so much time... looking back.
No, because they could have integrated it like they did with the Live Man episode.
But they can't, but again...
Which, by the way...
They can't.
Only 80 Sentai that got a full tribute.
My point is that if we're spending so much time focusing and looking at these characters of the past, we don't get the tribute episodes for these new characters so that we can know who they are and what they're about. Now, they did this, I know that we wouldn't, when I'm saying, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the words, I'm still waking up.
Okay.
We may not have gotten episodes like the episode where Pink gets kidnapped, which is one of my favorite episodes of the show. If we're devoting 34 out of 50 episodes
So you're saying that we wouldn't have gotten much time for the actual story.
More characterization.
Yeah,
for the
that's what I'm arguing.
I disagree because I think you could have integrated it in.
You could have, but it's a lot. That's easier said than done. I think it's honestly easier.
You could say that about any episode.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
making good television and movies is hard.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
Very, very hard.
you need to find a good balance. If you focus too much on nostalgia, that's all your show's going to be is nostalgia. And then these new characters, it's no longer their show.
Well, watching this, I mean, when I watched this show, this was the first Sentai I ever watched. I didn't have any nostalgia for any of these shows, and
I get that.
For me, it worked.
For us, it worked because it was one of my first Sentais too. I think it was my second after Die Ranger.
Yeah.
But I'm going from the perspective of, Japan. Because let's be real, they don't make Sentai for us. They don't make Sentai for us.
No, they make it for children.
In
their own country.
Exactly.
In their own country.
Exactly. So I'm just trying to think of it from that perspective, put myself in their shoes. Because I think they did a good job of balancing it. We know enough. I know more about some of these characters than I know about other Sentai members in the entire series.
I think it helps just because the characters were so likable.
Oh, God. And so the actors nailed it.
And that's something that we'll end up saying. Although there were times where where Marvelous ends up being sort of the focus in some episodes, usually the ones that just explicitly deal with Bosco.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it's like, except maybe Luca. Everybody else did really have something.
Luca was unfortunate. She was on terms of the focus.
Well, she had a few.
But I'm saying compared to everybody else, she had less, I think. Maybe between her and Ahim.
Two.
She had the one with the guy from her past and the one where she became a maid. I didn't mind.
But also, like Go Sager, there is a personal connection with this team and the villain that they're fighting because
they're wanted criminals by them.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I was just talking about Bosco.
No, I'm talking about the entire Empire.
The Zangak Empire.
Because I know we love Bosco, but the Empire is the main
eyes
villain.
Of them, they are criminals.
But we still get that personal connection. They have a stake in this fight that they're doing. Not just because they want to protect the Earth, because they want to get back and get justice for the planet.
And a lot of personal connections do end up coming up. Because
throughout most of this half of the decade.
And especially in the next season with the Go Busters and their parents being more or less killed.
By the villain, yeah.
Yeah. Even though it was a virus that just... I'm trying to remember exactly, but didn't it just come out of nowhere?
I honestly don't remember.
Because that's sort of the same thing they
Go Busters is one of those shows that left very little impression on me.
And it's a problem with the main three.
Yeah.
I didn't find myself particularly attached to any of the characters, and I didn't think the villains were that good either.
In comparison...
From what I feel like I built them up too much in my head.
That's probably...
Listening
honestly,
to the two of you talk so much
us.
and how we've done so many videos about how Enter is one of the best Sentai villains ever.
I just think he's one of the most fun. I thought he was the most
Especially coming
fun.
Directly after Bosco. It's like, we got another Bosco.
We got French Bosco.
We got French Bosco. French Cyber Bosco.
Ça va. Go Bastas.
I don't know that makes him French.
It was a joke, okay?
Yeah, because apparently...
It's more French than I am.
And Escape was German.
Well, maybe.
It's about as French as you are. You can say ça va. That doesn't make you French.
Well, actually, no, I'm honestly trying to remember because my parents did the whole 23andMe thing. I'm wondering how much French I am. I'm very white.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was just going to say white.
Yeah. No, yeah. If anybody watches the Try Guys, they have that one episode where they do that, and like, you're 99.9% European. Right here. I'm like 99.8% European.
But it was interesting watching Go Busters directly after Go Kaiju. There was no way that it was going to end up being on the same level.
I think the most innovative thing that Go Busters did for the genre as a whole was its action.
And the suits. I'd say the suits.
Well, they dialed back.
I know they dialed back immediately, but I think they should have gone forward and kept going. I love those suits.
They are great suits.
They are very good suits.
Except for Gold's. He's my least favorite.
because of the legs.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. But it's like watching Go Buster directly after Go Kaiser. It felt like it lacked energy.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. But it's all.
But
that's Go Kaiser's fault because Go Kaiser was cranked up to 11 from start to finish.
It was just huge. It was so big, and then we really condensed it. Afterwards, we went back to a 3 Sentai team, which they usually do after an anniversary season. And even though we got these extra 2, they're still considered 6. They came in late, and the main 3 weren't really that interesting. They really came off dry.
They didn't have that great a chemistry either. Their acting wasn't the best, I thought.
Like, of course, people end up getting better, as we saw in this show, because Maggiello's in this show, and he's a much better actor here.
Yeah, and compared to Magi Ranger.
True, but it's the same actor, but a different show, different character.
Yeah. Still, same actor.
I know. I'm not saying actors can't improve. I'm saying
it's like when
it's not the same character.
It's like when Hiromu's character came back in Zio as the 2 episodes of the quiz. He emoted a lot more in Zio than he did in Go Busters. Go Busters, he came off like I liked him enough, but he was just I needed water after watching him because he's so dry. That was sort of my problem with him, and that's sort of the problem with the entire show. Yes, I love Enter and Escape. Enter was petty as hell.
Escape needed more focus.
What you're all here for.
I'm always here for pettiness. And Escape was just fun. And then she went crazy, but she was still fun.
I still think Escape needed more focus. Or
she
should have been introduced sooner.
I don't... yeah, just to give 2 sides of that.
Yeah.
And, it's a little bit harder when the villain faction is just so much smaller at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was really just 2 of them until Escape came in X amount of episodes later.
But then we get...
But it's just like Go Busters had that personal connection with the villain and the Rangers with the parents and the death and all of that. Then we get to something that decided to put a lot of Rangers, but not had nearly as much of a personal connection, and I feel like it hurt it. Kyoryuger.
I can see why you would say that.
There was a personal connection, but it was all about the king.
Yeah.
It was all because it was all tied to King's dad, which eventually was all tied to him.
Marcus is silently judging me.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I went,
Elvis.
The king.
Oh.
We're all tired.
Elvis sucked. Anyway.
As a person or as a musician?
As a musician.
Each their own.
All right. Can't wait to see the comment section on this.
No.
Does anyone in our audience actually listen to Elvis? I want to know. Seriously.
Yeah, but
do you know who he is? Do you listen to his music?
Or do you listen to any of the music that from the black people that he stole from? I'm right. And you know I am, and it hurts. Anyway.
I mainly know because I am Eminem. Not the worst thing since Elvis Presley to do black music so selfishly and use it to get myself wealthy.
I hate you, but I am very proud of you at the same time. Anyway, Kyoryuger. We all know how I feel about the show. We all know how Jacob feels about the show. We all know how Matt feels about the show. But
it's fun.
It's fun, but it ain't got much else.
Nope, I didn't say it did. Never said it did.
Because of the fact that there is a lack of personal connection in this show.
There's a lack of personal connection between even the Sentai members, unless their name is Uchi. Or King.
Even then, I mean...
Or King.
Shifting away from personal connection, this whole show may have just been called Red the Show.
It really could have.
It was all
Daigo
about...
Sentai King Ranger.
It was Daigo Sentai King Ranger. It was all about him. Everything was about him. There was no problem he couldn't overcome by screaming at it and telling it how great he was.
And this is where my problems really start with Sentai, even up until Ryu Soldier just ended. Reds. People seem to forget, and I've had this problem. We're going to talk about this when we end up getting to the first impressions for Kyoryuger. But people seem to forget, or at least Toei seems to forget, this is a team.
It's not a Kamen Rider with backups.
In the name, Sentai. Squadron. Team, what have you. It's in the name. Don't forget that this is a team. That's always, like, I end up having so much of a problem with that watching Kyoryuger, because I like watching the Sentai for the team aspect. Even with Go Busters not being the best, it had that team aspect.
It really did.
It was there. But even in the focus episodes for other characters, bar maybe Ian once or twice, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
Uchi once, it ended up being King who fixed or finished the monster of the week or
Every
fixed
single
the
time.
problem. And it became a trial to watch. It's not fun.
We come off of Go Busters, which is a theme they'd never tried before, which is spies, gadgets, and
Pleather.
espionage. And then we go into dinosaurs again.
And it's one step forward, two steps back.
It's like they tried to. It feels like they tried to compensate for the energy, but they gave it all to one character.
Well, not just that, also sales. Go Busters didn't sell that well,
Also
so they
true.
went back to the tried and true one. This is why they did Ryu Soldier right after Lupat, because Lupat didn't sell well either. So we went back to the tried
Whenever
and true.
Sentai doesn't sell well, dinosaurs.
Did Tokucast not sell very well, I wonder? Because they went back to ninjas?
Tokucast actually sold better than the Ninja.
Color me surprised.
Didn't sell as well as Kyoryuger, but you know.
Color me surprised. Sarcastically.
Gokaiger still has outsold a lot of these because they keep releasing keys.
Fair. But Kyoryuger is kind of the decline in this decade.
And it seems like a decline of quality.
Hmm.
Specifically for this one, because we'll have an up next season, more or less, and then we have a hard down. But we're not talking about that yet. It's just, with Kyoryuger, you're sitting here watching this, like, I remember when Sentai was a team show. Where did the team go, Barbara? Trixie Mattel.
It wasn't Red and his cheerleaders.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
Speaking of the rainbow, let's go ahead and move on to Tokucast.
That was a great segue. But Tokucast has honestly the same problem. It's not as much as Kyoryuger, I'll admit.
I completely disagree. My problem is just the characters just weren't interesting. I didn't really like anybody. Upon rewatch, the villains just didn't do it for me either.
I still think there was
It
a
has
little too
a,
much focus
it's
on
a
Red.
it's a show that has its moments, but overall, eh.
A lot of the focus does end up being tied between Zed and Red.
Mhm.
And
That's my problem.
that's sort of an issue with that.
I didn't get that.
Really?
No.
To each their own.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. How not?
He may have been the one he talked to the most, but I felt like his beef was with the team as a whole, not just right.
Yeah, but it ended up becoming focused.
He kind of personified his hatred of the team to Right and took it out. That's why Ed fought with
Well,
Right.
no, it's not so much his hatred of the team, but the fact that he can't grasp the light and Right could. And it's just like, that's where all the focus is. Even though, like, early on in the show, they did that whole imagination power thing, and Kagura was, like, almost right up there with Right, but it still ended up being all right at the end of the day, where a lot of Zed's attention went. I still love the villains in this show. The villains definitely carry it. Because of just petty as Petty does, and they were like just the pettiness of the petty, and I enjoyed them backstabbing each other like all the time. I love watching that. It made me want to come back and watch it week to week. Not the first time, when on rewatch, but I really enjoyed it a lot more the second time around. But it's just like Tokucast, it did the team better than Kyoryuger did, but not by much, because as you said, the team still wasn't really all that great. You had Red and you had Akira. They were the two best characters in that show. And it's sad because we'll almost end up getting the same thing next season, where two characters end up being the best in that show, but everybody else is so god-awful.
But
The villains of Tokucast at least had that to work on. Ninja doesn't.
But we're not talking about the Ninja today.
Yeah.
So, that is the first half of the decade. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. We kind of started... Marcus really wanted to do this because this was kind of... I don't want to say the beginning of the end, but it is the beginning of a trend that we wish to end soon.
Yeah. Rider goes up and down in quality around this same time. But when we end up getting to the second half from 2016 to... we're going to just introduce the end of Ryu Soldier, because that is the actual end of the decade. There's a definite quality shift, and I have some issues with it. And that's why I sort of wanted to leave this half by itself, just as a pure comparison to the second half of the decade.
All right, so we'll see you guys in part 2. Please follow us on all the things. You know what to do.
Yep, part 2 will be done as soon as we actually get done with Ryu Soldier.
Oh, are you gonna wait?
That's why we're gonna leave it.
Oh, we're gonna wait until we review Ryu Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
So in like 10 years.
Yep. We'll see you in a few decades. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you in